If there's one trend that I have not really been able to capture on my channel compared to other Yu-Gi tubers, it's the every month top 10 list for the best cards or the best decks. So today I thought I would throw my hat into the ring and I'm going to do the top 10 best cards for December 2017. Now I know that we're a week into December already, but I hope that these cards will help you win some matches. And starting at number 10, we have Mind Crush. Now I've already talked at length about Mind Crush, but I really do think it is quite powerful. Not only is it obviously good in Paleozoics for triggering your Paleozoic monsters while they're in the graveyard, well, I suppose they're traps in the graveyard. So not only is it good for that, it's just a good card in general. Searching is in every single deck right now. There isn't a single deck that does no searching whatsoever. So you can always get a one-for-one trade while also gaining the advantage of knowing your opponent's entire hand. But more importantly, Mind Crush is a really good counter to Evenly Match. Your opponent skips their main phase and enters their battle phase. You flip Mind Crush, call Evenly Match, and that is just a total blowout because now they've skipped their battle phase and they didn't get rid of your field. So I think Mind Crush is like a good pick going forward as long as Evenly Matched is so commonly played. Number 9 is Heavy Storm Duster. Now there are a lot of pieces of spell and trap card removal right now, but Heavy Storm Duster is one of the only ones that's actually just a straight +1 pretty much every time you use it, and I'll be honest, there's a drawback of it. However, from what I can tell, the main goal of Heavy Storm Duster, in terms of how you're supposed to use it, is during your opponent's end phase, or at the very least, during your opponent's turn. You can always just one-for-one trade this into a field spell, but where it really comes in handy is hitting 2 back row cards during the end of the turn so that you don't take the negative effect of Heavy Storm Duster because it's not actually your turn yet. So I think this card, while it might not be the fastest piece of back row removal, I think it definitely has a spot in the format, at least in side decks. Now, number 8 is kind of different here, specifically because it is Chaos Hunter, and I think Chaos Hunter is a good card because you are very likely to win a few games off your opponent not reading the card very well. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that I've seen so many people siding Chaos Hunter for Evenly Matched, but guess what? Chaos Hunter doesn't actually stop Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched, for lack of a better term, affects the player. That is, so the person that's choosing which cards to banish, that would be the person that the Evenly Matched is being used against, that actually counts them as banishing the cards, not as the person that activated the Evenly Matched, which means if you side deck Chaos Hunter to stop Evenly Matched, it's not actually going to do anything except, I suppose it's a card that you can leave on the field to maybe have a big attack points, but in general, it's not going to stop the Evenly Matched, which is what I think people are playing it for. So I think this card is a top card in the format because people are going to lose because they're playing it against you, and you can capitalize on their stupidity. Coming in at number 7, we have a card that was oh so good at the last regional that I went to, and that is Spell Shattering Arrow. So this card can be used to win games just off of the damage alone. You can usually get 500 to 1,000 damage, but the absolute best spot for Spell Shattering Arrow is when you're going second against a Spiral Sleeper with Last Resort equipped to it, and when they have Spiral Resort in their field spell zone. Because what happens, and this is such a blowout actually, they activate Spiral Sleeper, they target itself, obviously, because it won't be able to be destroyed, and then you chain Spell Shattering Arrow. So what ends up happening when the chain resolves is Spell Shattering Arrow blows up both the Last Resort and the Resort, and now the Sleeper has to resolve, so it blows up itself to get rid of your 2 cards, and then the Sleeper effect activates that blows up their entire board. So Spell Shattering Arrow is essentially a better Evenly Matched as long as you can bait the Sleeper. So I think it's actually a pretty good pick going forward. I had a lot of success with it at the Michigan Regional as well. Number 6 on this list is none other than Dire Mole. Now, I know not a lot of people think the Hunter class is going to be good with the newest expansion, But Dire Mole actually fills a ton of different roles for the Hunter class. Specifically, when you compare it to cards like Alley Cat, which previously was like the best turn 1 play, Dire Mole doesn't just instantly die to hero powers. It doesn't instantly die to Patches the Pirate. All these sort of one attack things don't instantly kill Dire Mole, which means hopefully it'll actually survive until turn 2 when you can Crackling Razor Maw it, because in a Hunter deck, the turn 2 Crackling Razor Maw is so crucial for that deck's success that it can be really discouraging when you summon 2 Alley Cats and they instantly die, so that on your turn 2 you have nothing to actually adapt, which can leave you in an awkward position. But with Dire Mole, it's actually really hard for your opponent to kill it on the first turn. We've seen plenty of 1 attack, 3 health minions that are 1-drops be really good, even if their effects don't go off. I mean, you have Cleric for Priests, you have N'Zoth's First Mate and Warriors, these cards that actually have a lot of defense, even Voidwalker and like Warlock. They're good because they have 3 health instead of 2 health, and that's why I think Dire Mole, even though it is technically an effectless minion, it actually has a lot of potential to help out Hunter, and maybe even Token Druid. I mean, they already play Snow Flipper Penguin, and this card is arguably better than that card at least. Number 5 is Nimble Beaver. So Nimble Beaver is really cool in every single way, except for the fact that it is not an aqua monster. Now that kind of sucks because it means you can't just 1-for-1 into a totally awesome. That would probably be too overpowered, so I can kind of see the direction they were going here. And I'm not even really saying to play the entire Nimble engine in a Frog deck, but Nimble Beaver as a 2-of or a 3-of can be really interesting. It is a 1-card rank 2, besides totally awesome, or a 1-card Mistar Boy, and that's really cool. But most importantly, this card can not only get itself from the deck, it can get itself from the graveyard. What this means is that if you play 3 copies, you use your first copy to bring the second copy out of the deck, and then when you draw your third copy, it's not like a dead draw. You can simply normal summon it to bring back one of the 2 earlier copies from your graveyard to make another rank 2 or a Mistar Boy. There are obviously really good openings when you have Swap Frog, a water monster, and Nimble Beaver. Those are pretty incredible, whether or not you go into the Ronin Raccoon XYZ monster, or if you go into Mistar Boy. It kind of depends on what the rest of your hand is. But this card's very good, and it might be a little slow, and it might be a little vulnerable to Ash Blossom, but besides that, I think that it actually does have some potential. I don't know if for sure we've seen it pop up in any regional top 8s, but it definitely has potential, at least in my eyes. Number 4 is going to be Ojama Yellow. Now, I probably don't have to tell you why Ojama Yellow is really good this format, but I do want to say that the reason it's not any higher on the list is because, objectively speaking, Ojama Yellow is the ugliest of the 3 Ojama cards. So even though they are meta-defining, and even though they have virtually the same exact stats, Yellow is just so weird looking that he has to be not number 1 on the list. And number 3 then is going to be Ojama Black. Obviously a lot better looking than Ojama Yellow. He does not have those weird stalk things for eyes. And he's going to be on this list in a higher position because he has the same great stat line as Ojama Yellow without the drawback of having to look at its ugly face. Number 2 is going to be Scapegoat. I think this card is really versatile. It was a card that was extremely hyped up going into Link format. However, no one really played it when Links first came out. But I think that now we have a lot of good Link monsters. We have Borolo Dragon especially. I mean, Scapegoat, to my knowledge, is a 1-card Borolo Dragon. But you have like Missus Radiance and you have Proxy Dragons. You have all these really standout Link monsters that actually do something. One of my biggest complaints when Link monsters first came out was that none of the cards like actually accomplished anything. Not many of them did much besides give you extra deck zones, but now we're getting Link monsters, or we have been getting Link monsters, that actually have an impact on the board. All those cards that I just mentioned are really good to summon, and even though Scapegoat is kind of slow, you can not only use it to summon a Link monster, you could use it to block damage if it was like a really tight situation. Now that's Obviously not the optimal time to use it. You do want to get the full value for the Link summon, but if you're in a position where you're going to get OTK'd, you can put up 4 Scapegoat tokens, and no one's playing like Chaos Max Dragon to punish you for summoning 0 defense monsters, so usually you'll just live until next turn, and it'll be all right. Now, number 1 is a card that I think is not super surprising. It's probably the biggest card of December, and that is Duskbreaker. Now, Duskbreaker was really hyped up upon release. This card is so good. If this card didn't have a 3/3 body, if it just had a 1/1 body or even a 2/2 body, it would potentially still be played. But the fact that you're only playing 4 mana to essentially wipe the board, and I'll go a step further and say it'll almost always wipe the board, because when you're playing this on turn 4, there aren't a lot of other minions with more than 3 defense, or 3 health I should say, and in that case Duskbreaker almost always is just gonna sort of give you the board advantage, which is really good. It's a great catch-up card. I mean, it literally does 1 more damage than a Primordial Drake for 4 less mana. Yes, it doesn't have quite as big a body, but the board wiping effect is really powerful, and I think it definitely leads Dragon Priest down a lane where they actually have a lot of potential to be one of the best decks and compete with Raza Priest. Anyway, though, that was my top 10 cards for the December of 2017. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this top 10 video. I haven't done a top 10 in a while. Please let me know your thoughts and comments below about what cards I missed on this list. Obviously, I couldn't fit Ojama Green in here. I just don't think it was quite good enough. But I will see you guys later. Bye.